Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is Daily Drop number 108. So as you're all aware, I postponed my trip to Santa Fe for 2 weeks. I'm going to be leaving the 3rd now. So the reason behind the postponement was I was contacted by a source with intimate knowledge of not only the Zorro Ranch, but of the case itself. And I am not at liberty yet to disclose this source because of certain situations. But what I will say is this: it is a rock solid source, folks. A source like I have never had for a story like this, and a source that definitely needs to be heard. So I'm not going to go too much more into the source because I want to respect their privacy, and whenever that source is prepared to speak, I will have them on the show, and it will certainly be a treat for you folks. But do know that I am working behind the scenes with this source to make sure that the truth about Zorro Ranch and everything else comes to light. And believe me when I tell you, folks, it's going to be worth the wait. It is definitely going to be worth the wait. February 3rd is the new departure date, and I will be flying into Santa Fe this time around as opposed to my original plan of driving. And so it was a very significant email, and the information and the person who sent the email, it's certainly somebody that you folks will want to hear from, and certainly somebody who we need to hear from. So with that said, I'm going to jump into tonight's article, and tonight's article is from the Washington Examiner, and the headline of this article is "Dershowitz Defends Epstein Connection. I represent people I don't like sometimes." And the article is by John Gage. Well, folks, we all know how I feel about creepy old-ass Alan Dershowitz, the most bullying mofo in the history of bullying mofos. He's going to sue everybody. He's going to use his significant power to bring everybody down, etc., etc. Meanwhile, this guy has never supplied a legitimate answer to the charges that have been brought at him. Okay, he has never ever given us a quality answer. He always, oh yeah, you'll see, I'm gonna have answers for you, and yet we have nothing from him. I don't believe Alan Dershowitz. Okay, we all know on this podcast that I believe Virginia Roberts. Everything that she says about these people, I believe. All right, she has the proof, she has the evidence, and not only that, their own behavior tells the story, folks. Alan Dershowitz, a constitutional law professor, defended himself for joining President Trump's impeachment defense team despite his connection to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Well, look, I also defended O.J. Simpson and Klaus von Bülow, Dershowitz said Sunday on CNN's State of the Union when pressed about his connection to Epstein. I have defended some of the most controversial people in American history. See, this is the line he's trying to run with, and nobody questions him on this line, right? It's not about being a lawyer and defending Jeffrey Epstein. I get it. That would be your job. If that was all you were doing and you weren't friends with the man, it wouldn't be halfway near as reprehensible to me. But not only are you friends with him, not only are you his lawyer, but you're also being accused of taking part in the abuse of these girls. You are disgusting, sir. You are disgusting to try and move the narrative to make it seem like people are criticizing you because you just defended Jeffrey Epstein. Give me a break, okay? That is not the case, all right? The fact of the matter is, you are credibly accused, and you have never, ever provided one iota of credible evidence, sir. All right? And I know everybody else lets you get off the hook, and these CNN so-called journalists are scared to question you, and everybody's scared of Mr. Allen. I kept my underwear on Dershowitz. Well, I have news for you, Mr. Dershowitz. I am not scared of you. I have zero fear of somebody like you, sir. I have never, ever feared bullies, ever in my life. And I do not plan to start fearing them now, because that's what you are, sir. You are a bully, okay? And not only are you a bully, you're a reprehensible human being. And it's not because you defended Jeffrey Epstein, okay? It is because of your actions within his ring of disgustingness. That is why you're a reprehensible human being, sir. And I will continue to call you out for your actions, for your behavior, until the cows come home, until I have no platform left, until nobody is ever tuning in. And then if that ever occurs, I will take a bullhorn and I will go stand on Las Vegas Boulevard and scream it out to anybody who walks by like a maniac, because everybody needs to know exactly who you are, sir. The 81-year-old lawyer called it pure McCarthyism to hold lawyers responsible for defending controversial clients. Again, not the case. And the media lets him get away with it because that's the line of questioning they come with. Well, sir, you defended Jeffrey Epstein. Doesn't that make... When in reality, what they should be asking is, well, sir, what about the allegations by Virginia Roberts? It's a very credible accuser, sir. What do you think about that? Nobody has the courage to say that to this man, and I don't understand why. Why are people so afraid of the Crypt Keeper? I have zero fear in my heart of this man, okay? This guy is an absolutely reprehensible human being, and he needs to answer for the things that he has allegedly done. I did nothing wrong in any of those cases, and I will proceed to make my argument in this case without concern for what people think about who I represented in the past. That is who I am, and who I have always been, and who I will continue to be as long as the good Lord gives me strength to defend people who you don't like and don't like sometimes, he added. What does that even mean? All right? It's one thing to defend people, and it's another thing to get them sweetheart deals to cover your own ass. All right, Mr. Dershowitz? Because don't think for a minute, folks, if the screws were really put to Epstein, if Epstein was not being protected by the intelligence community, if the screws were put to Epstein, my man's mouth would be moving 100 miles per minute. This man ain't ready to stand up to the rigors of a full-on interrogation. Are you kidding me? Look at the way he was reacting in jail, worried that he was going to get beat up by the other inmates, and already putting money on other people's books, the big old punk ass. You ain't so hard now, are you, Mr. Epstein? Dershowitz said Dershowitz said he would be responsible for making a constitutional argument in front of the Senate that the impeachment charges brought forth do not constitute high crimes and misdemeanors. He said that his argument would bring a swift end to Trump's impeachment trial if the senators were on board with it. The lawyer noted in his statement announcing his intention to join the legal team that he is nonpartisan when it comes to the Constitution. He opposed the impeachment of President Bill Clinton and voted for Hillary Clinton. Oh, who cares? All right, it doesn't shock me that you'd be running around with Hillary and Bill either, sir. All right, the company you choose to keep? Less than, okay? Less than. It is absolutely reprehensible that this guy is defending the President of the United States, and the poor judgment shown by the Trump team in this regard is absolutely mind-boggling, and if you think I'm letting them off the hook for it, you're at the wrong podcast. You made a wrong turn somewhere, folks, because like I've said from the very beginning, I do not care who enabled Jeffrey Epstein, who that person is, who those people are. They will be called to account. They will be held responsible on this podcast, and we will discuss their transgressions. And this right here by Trump, this is a horrible move by a man that should be very aware of the optics of a move like this, okay? But again, obviously he's not. It's either that or he does not care. And do you really think that he needed Alan Dershowitz and Ken Starr to defend him? Come on, folks. The impeachment papers, the impeachment articles are thin at best. He could have got any number of lawyers to defend him and get those articles tossed out with the Senate being controlled by the Republicans the way it is. But yet, he still brought in Dershowitz and Starr. Something don't sit right with me, folks. Something does not sit with me right. Several of Epstein's victims have accused Dershowitz of having sex with them when they were minors. He has denied the allegations, claiming to have a perfect sex life. A perfect sex life? What does that even mean? Perfect for who? Perfect for you? Perfect for Epstein? Perfect for a nun? I don't understand. What does that mean, a perfect sex life? You don't have a perfect anything, I'm sure, Mr. Dershowitz. Maybe a perfect record of screwing around the victims, maybe that. But as far as a perfect sex life, please, dude, please. You're like 375 years old. Perfect sex life. Okay, Crypt Keeper. Dershowitz represented Epstein in a 2008 plea deal that resulted in only 13 months in prison and allowed the sex offender to leave jail to go to work. Epstein, 66, was arrested on federal charges last summer following a bevy of new allegations by dozens of women. He was found dead in his New York prison cell in August of an apparent suicide. Well, at least they said apparent in this article, right? But I'm honestly mortified, folks, by this whole Dershowitz thing. I still can't kick it. It's one of the things that has made me the most agitated in this whole entire case. And the fact, and I know for a fact that Dershowitz and these others are still bullying these girls. Okay? Still behind the scenes bullying these girls. When is enough enough? When is enough enough? When are we as a society going to stand up and say, this is the end of your reign of terror? All right? Your corporate monarchy run by the robber barons is over, folks, okay? We're done. We are absolutely, positively done with your bullshit. All right? You're going to be held to account. If it takes forever and a day for us to get there, you're going to be held to account. At the very least, your name is going to be tarnished in the public sphere for your connections to this disgusting man. And no argument you can ever make will change that, Mr. Dershowitz. Do you understand? All right? You might be able to persuade these people on TV, and you might be able to persuade these news anchors because they want to have you on the show some more. You will never, ever, ever persuade me. All right? And I will never, ever stop talking about you and your involvement in the case. Not your defense of Jeffrey Epstein, okay? That's a whole different story. All right? There's an argument to be made that you were doing your job. You're a lawyer. Everybody in this country is entitled to a defense. That is a staple in this country, and I will defend that until I am put in the grave. All right? But what I will not defend is you trying to use that as the basis of what the criticism is, where the criticism is coming from. And from anybody who's really following the case, the criticism has nothing to do with the fact that you defended Epstein, sir. It has to do that you are credibly accused by multiple girls of being involved. All right? You have no place sitting up there in front of the Senate and defending the presidency of the United States. Never mind the man that is holding the office, folks. Suspend that for a minute. But the office of the President of the United States is now going to be tarnished by this disgusting man, as if the office of the United States, after the presidents we've had, can even go with a little bit more tarnishing. It needs more of that? Really? So look, folks, again, I am super disgusted by this whole entire Dershowitz situation. And believe me when I tell you, Dershowitz is certainly on my radar. He is not going to squirm out of this one, folks. We're going to make sure that Alan Dershowitz answers the questions that all of these other enablers have to answer. And also, if and when Alan Dershowitz is ever charged for his crimes, we're going to make sure that he faces justice. All right? And I don't mean us as the podcast. I'm talking about all of us collectively. Everybody involved, from the survivors to their lawyers, to everybody listening to these podcasts, and the content creators, and the actual journalists from outlets like the Daily Beast that are actually following the case and doing the right thing. We're going to demand that justice. And if we don't get that justice, there's going to be hell to pay, folks. I am telling you right now, nobody is ever going to believe another thing any of these people ever have to say. Well, we're already borderline there, right? I don't believe the Justice Department at all. But a good way for them to start making inroads back into our trust as a society is to do the right thing in this Jeffrey Epstein case. Give these surviving women, the girls who survived this reign of terror, this horrifying reign of terror by this man, the justice they deserve. Not very difficult, folks, okay? Not very difficult. The resources are there. It's just going to take the will of the people in charge to do it. And I'll tell you, I will tell you what, if you look back to where we were, to where we have come, and to who has been outed, to what has happened to Prince Andrew, and I know the progress is slow, folks, and we want to see people like Ghislaine Maxwell arrested, but the gears of justice and the long arm of the law move very slowly, and until they make their move, we're going to fill the gap. We're going to be here day in, day out, reporting on this story, bringing it to you raw, because that is the only way we're ever going to get to the bottom of it. We don't need it processed. We don't need it curated. We don't need it chopped up into nice little pretty pieces for us, all right? Give us the facts. And believe me, folks, that is exactly what I'm working on behind the scenes right now. I have something very significant brewing, okay? And it's going to be very informative to you folks when everything comes out, because there's so much more going on behind the scenes now that I wasn't even aware of 24 hours ago. So just know, folks, things are in motion, things are happening, and there is movement in this case. So take some heart in that, and don't lose faith, and do not, whatever you do not get frustrated, because that's what they want. They're counting on us to lose focus on this case. They're counting on this case to go away, and then they can just completely sweep it under the rug. But we're not going to let that occur. Not this time, not at this point in time in our society. It's very important that justice is served here, and that is exactly where we're aiming to go, right? Down that route, to make sure that everybody who was involved in this is brought to justice. All right, folks, if you'd like to contact me, you could do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. If you'd like to help support the show, you can do that by clicking on the GoFundMe link in the description box. I will be back tomorrow morning with the morning update and an evolution episode, as well as the daily drop. All right, folks, we're almost there. We are almost at the point where there's stuff coming out on a regular basis, right, with this story. There's no more just trickle. We have stories every single day, and we're going to keep on keeping on. All right, everybody, talk to you tomorrow.